what is entrepreneurship? It's many, many things, in my opinion. The simplest definition is to create something from nothing. And let me tell you, you can rely on the government for the nothing. There are more complex definitions, but the first thing is, I think you have to be a bit different. I think you have to perhaps be a little bit crazy. You guys in this room, I hate to be the one to tell you, but you're not actually normal. Look at the normal guy, has a job, goes home for 35, 40 hours a week. What do? We put our money down. We hope to have an income at the end of the month. When it goes wrong, and all of us know people it's happened to, they lose everything, the house. And occasionally it goes right. And what happens then? The government come along and say, well done, oh boy, we'll have 50% of that. We've got to be nuts. And that's why we're referring to groups in the networking and our marketing as asylums. It's where you belong, so we'd like to invite you to come and join one at some stage. Ben, incredibly enthusiastic, I think you've seen. Great ideas on networking. Accountant by profession, when he mentioned a money-back guarantee, I almost had a heart attack. But why not? People who have not tried networking, we are convinced in 30 days they will see the value and not want their money back. But if they do, of course, it will be honoured. And it goes through everything the NEA does. There will always be this 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you haven't networked before, why not come along a fortnight today, same time, 6 o'clock, to the first meeting. As Ben said, reduced membership up to then. I don't believe in sign on the night, so you've got a fortnight, but you can save yourself from £345 down to £195 for a year's membership. And it's all about the group. The main thing you're buying is, first of all, locking out your opposition. I'm sure if Alan would agree that by locking out the other conservatory firms, he could quote on quality, not on price. If there's 4 or 5 electricians there, we get into this price war. And quality will always hold its value, more so now than ever. Look at the figures over Christmas. This is supposed to be the worst economic times, 70 years or so. Waitrose up, Tesco's down. How many people would have forecast that? Waitrose are in the John Lewis group, obviously the same level as M&S. People will buy their Christmas shopping there knowing the quality they're going to get. That's not to say Tesco's are not quality, but they've decided to go in the price war and lost, was it £5 billion in a day off the share price. So we must always think of quality. But let's have a quick look. What makes it so difficult for small businesses to grow? I'm not going to give you death by PowerPoint and read what's behind me. But there are some constant things that come up, and I think one of the biggest ones is not having this external discipline or mentors monitoring you. We all need it. We all have bad days where if we work for someone else, we'd be getting a kick in the pants, but there isn't anyone to make that kick. So one thing we're going to do with NEA marketing is we're going to have turbo profit meetings for our members where we get together the same group of people bi-monthly initially, perhaps moving to monthly, where I say to Alan, well, actually, Alan, what I'm going to do in the next 2 months is this, this, and this. He's quite entitled in 2 months' time to say, well, Bob, did you actually do it? And of course, it's very embarrassing to say no. We will invite members to come and open up what have they done marketing-wise in the last month. Trust me, no one wants to be the guy who sits there and say, well, actually nothing. And try and get the entrepreneurship training. Universities are starting to train it. It was believed for many years, it was in your DNA, it can't be trained. Anything a human being does, they can do better with training. Take the young entrepreneurs. They don't have the experience of what we used to do 15 or 20 years ago. The older ones, us with so many grey hairs or no hair at all, can perhaps just lead them down the right path. It shouldn't be so difficult, but to do it alone is difficult. Many SMEs are expanding and very, very profitably because they've decided what they do. And more importantly, they've decided they do not do everything. I mentioned the wife arrived from Lithuania 4 years ago. And before she arrived, I was very disciplined. I would come home from work every day and watch my mentor, Homer Simpson. And I'm serious, if you saw the episode where he ran for office, he had a simple slogan: let someone else do it. Brilliant. And you have to do that in business. The fact that you are technically good at something is the very reason you've got to let it go. Imagine if you just spent your time on the 5%, on the finesse, watching the others, making sure the qualities. Suddenly you can do 5, 10, 15 projects. With the NEA, I could set up a networking group on my own, fine. But if I can find young, enthusiastic guys like Ben, who are young enough to get a clip round the ear when it goes wrong, we can build. We've already got groups planned to launch in the next 2 months in Manchester and Birmingham. Simple military strategy, I guess, take the main cities and fill in the gaps. But you can't do that on your own. I can't be flying up and down the M6 and controlling a group here. Of course, raises a problem in Europe of wages, the cost of having people. And incidentally, you'll often hear it said, oh, that's why everything's manufactured in the Far East. The cost in Europe's impossible. No one's told the Germans, have they? They're still manufacturing very successfully because the quality is so high. Pains me to say it as an Englishman, but 100, 150 years ago, we had the likes of Brunel, we had the engineers of the world. We're not in that division. The Germans are, and they will command the price. But there's other ways to do it. There's many things you can freelance. Send out to freelancers. You've got a short project, you're going to be busy, 2, 3 months. You can't afford that headcount all year, so look to farm it out. There's some great websites, freelancer.com, Elance is another, where you can get things done incredibly cheaply. I mean, our logo was done on Elance, by somebody on Elance. I needed it in 24 hours. Recognition Express, who provided the badges, will tell you I'm not a man to plan ahead of time. Everything's, it was done 24 hours. And someone said to me, oh yeah, that's work going all overseas to foreigners. I wasn't aware Northampton was overseas, actually. Most of these freelancers are in the UK, but they get a higher price per hour, but only for a very short period. So think about what you can get off your desk. Imagine if you're in an office, you could come into a clean desk, say, right, I start today, I'm going to do this, I'm going to market. Obviously involves delegation. Think about delegation. The recipient must know what's expected of them, in what time frame, and at what stages they must report back. You need to control them just as you would a member of staff. Ultimately, your customers are unlikely to care whether you outsource or not. If they get quality product for an agreed budget, on time, every time, you're not too likely to have any problems with your customers, and you will be able to expand. To achieve that, it's no good doing what I did with the badges. I realised at the last minute I'd forgotten to order them. If you need T-shirts or badges at 3 o'clock in the morning with no notice, I know Recognition Express offer this service. So the chap's in the room, please go and see him. But seriously, you've got to undertake your due diligence before you're ready to give a project. So you think, well, actually, scaffolding's always been an issue. Let's get in touch with some scaffolding companies and have it all arranged, agree what we want, what the prices are. So when the call comes in for windows on the 9th floor, you make the call, it's sorted. Many of us have already done this, but if you haven't, think about the people you may want to use. And as soon as you use them, of course, you become responsible because it's your quality, your product that your customer's going to see. As I said, customers won't care too much about it. At the NEA, we're very aware that entrepreneurs don't have the time. So we're offering to be a marketing department, not just advising, but actually doing the work for you, trying to keep you on that success curve. Say we've got a turbo profit meeting, doing everything you'd want. You just decide, I want to